Jake, will you call the roll, please?
Butler?
Here.
Jordan?
Here.
Lipscomb?
Here.
Oakridge?
Here.
Smith?
Here.
Thrash?
Here.
Vincenzo?
Here.
All members are present.
Okay, we get all 7 members present. Okay, first item on the agenda is the minutes from the November 6th council meeting. Has everyone received their copy of the minutes from that meeting? Does anyone have any questions or comments on those minutes? Okay, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to accept the minutes as official.
Make motion.
Christie. Take a roll call vote, please.
Butler?
Yes.
Jordan?
Yes.
Lipscomb?
Yes.
Oakridge?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
Thrash?
Yes.
Vincenzo?
Abstain.
Well, 6 members in favor, 1 abstention.
Okay, thank you. The minutes have been approved. I don't think we have anything under old business, nothing under new. We do have a guest in the audience this evening, Miss Wendy Anderson from the Chamber. I think she wanted to address council in reference to the tree lighting.
I do. Hi, everybody. I'm going to go after this. But first of all, I don't know who all attended the tree lighting. I know several of you did. And I want to thank the city for sponsoring. And I understand there was a few councilmen that were not excited about it and they didn't want it to be sponsored. But I got to tell you, if you were there and you saw these pictures, we had over 1,000 people visit our city. And they were having a blast. They were having such a good time. And it was well received by the businesses. I do believe Millstown, you guys were slammed.
I don't know. I don't know what happened outside the diner.
You guys were slammed. Giacintas did well. Everybody that I talked to had done well. We did not expect that many people to come into town. And I was shocked. Even Santa Mike said when he walked out, he did not expect that to be the vision that he wasn't expecting that many people. But there's a couple people I want to thank for sure. For the city workers that they put the tree up, because that's a gorgeous tree. Donnie, he actually came down and sat in my office and he was my shoulder to cry on because I had some issues with another member about a sponsorship thing, but he came down and he sat there with me and said, Wendy, this can be done, because I didn't think you could light a tree with a Ford truck. I was so apprehensive. I can't even think about it, until I saw it. Now I understand it. But Donnie kept saying, don't worry about it. They had to have a plug. They kept talking about how awesome they could do this. And Donnie was getting kind of excited, believe it or not. But TJ, Greg, and Matt, I'll tell you what, these guys, I told TJ, I said, oh my gosh, we need that street shut down at 1:30, not 2, because they weren't putting the ice skating rink up. And then we had a truck that was parked, and we couldn't find the person who owned it, and they just came together and we made it work, and it was incredible. And TJ said, consider it done, 10 minutes, it'll be done. So, and I do appreciate that. Catherine, your words, you were very positive through the whole thing. Like, this is great. This was, yeah, and I appreciate it. And to all the city workers behind the scenes that cleaned up, we cleaned up as much as we could. But it was, I think I saw one negative comment on social media, just one. And it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be, but I just thought it was something that we did. And next year, Donnie had said to me, he said, just maybe communicate a little bit more of what you're going to do. And I said, Donnie, we just flew by the seat of our pants on this one, because we had no idea, and Steve Coons opened up the Clarendon for me, gave me a key, said, use it, do what you need to do. John Tomlin let me use his building for a vendor village. I mean, everybody came together, and I just have to say, this is my town, and I feel very, very proud to have done this tree lighting. And next year it's going to be bigger. We're thinking of reindeers from Canada, just saying. So,
Love it.
So I just want to say that and thank you.
Wendy, you hit a great
What else could next year, maybe like a little train?
Yeah, we already thought about that. Yeah.
But-
We asked Thomas's to maybe sponsor that, call it Thomas the Train. So we were thinking
Nice.
about something like that. Seriously, we're thinking about reindeers. We're in contact with someone from Michigan that has reindeers, and they do this. So there's a lot of things that we could do. People wanted that skating rink was awesome.
Oh, it was.
If you guys came, that was amazing. And to see those guys put it up, it was just incredible. But people wanted it to be bigger. Because you can get a bigger one. That cost us $7,000. And I thought that was big, but you could get one for the whole, all the way down the street. And that would be a lot of money. But I think we could get some sponsors now, because we did have people come up and say, oh my God, I didn't know this. We also had people come up and said, I didn't know that building was for rent. And I heard them talk about it. They came and asked me, and I said, get the number off the window, So we did open up our city, and it wasn't just for the community, it was for the whole all Ohio Valley. And to me, that's what's important. Okay?
That's wonderful.
Yes.
Thank you.
Did you say that there were people that were against it being in St. Clairsville? What did you say in the beginning?
No, I said I didn't. There was a couple councilmen, I guess, that weren't sure about sponsoring this, about the money that we sponsored, and I think it was a good sponsorship. It put you guys, because this was done by the city. This is the city thing. That's how people perceived it. This was a city tree lighting.
Yeah.
So
I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah, I think that when
Maybe you're misinformed.
well.
just when you came before and said you were short, and we said, well, we can come up with it.
Absolutely. And when Jeremy said, we'll do it, $2,000, I'm like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And actually, when you said that, that put us over, and we were fine.
Yeah.
Because we had someone who was backing out. Well, it's a little sponsorship thing, little issue that we had at the chamber. But everything worked out wonderful, and everybody was so supportive.
Yeah, I wouldn't want it to be misconstrued. That
No.
If we're asking a couple questions about if we have money for
Oh, I
this,
want
then
you to
do we
ask
have-
questions.
Yeah, so
Please.
I feel like any questions we might have asked about the city's contribution, I'll speak for myself, right?
Yeah.
Any questions I might have asked about the city's contribution would not be an indication that I did not support that.
No, and I know that. And
So I
you
just-
have to ask questions, because some of these answers I gave you, I was hoping that was the correct answer, because things happened that we just had to think just like that, and we had to react. But thank God we had some things already in place, because this was a huge undertaking, because I never thought about, we never had an EMT. Next year, we're going to have an EMT on. Nobody got hurt, no nothing, but I thought I saw a little kid fall, and I'm like, oh, that just, these are things that I wrote down that I have to do next year. But it was really good.
I think you were misinformed. I haven't talked to one council person that was against that.
Good, okay.
And none of us are shy. If we were not in favor of it, we would have voted no.
Sure.
So I
Sure.
think that you were misinformed. I certainly would not want the public to think that council
No, the
was-
public, it was the St. Clairsville thing.
I don't want the public to think that city council was poo-pooing the ice skating rink.
Oh, no. The question may be of the sponsorship. That was, where was the money coming from? And I was like, okay, I don't know. I don't know where the money come from. I don't know that. But it's like anything that we do. We just accept the checks. That's up to you guys to give us the money where you think it's allocated, where it comes from. So, but no, this was a home run for the city. This was absolutely a home run for the city. And I'm looking at some of the wonderful.
Pictures are wonderful.
It was shoulder to shoulder people. It was crazy. So, but anyways, thank you guys very much. Yes.
I had two people ask me, and I don't know, could kids have brought their hockey skates or regular figure
No.
skates? They had to be special skates. They had to wear theirs. Okay.
Because this was foam. It wasn't ice. It was foam. They sprayed this chemical on it that made it actually looked like ice.
Yeah,
now, but the hockey player, if you know the Spike and Buck, I think his name is Buck, from the nailers, they use their hockey skates. However, it dulls them immediately, and they can't use them.
Okay.
But they didn't want any children to do it. They knew those guys were going to bring them, and they knew they were going to use their hockey skates.
Okay.
So,
Because people ask me, and I'm like, I have no idea.
Yeah,
They said,
no.
is that a special skate? I don't know, but I'd ask.
there were little footies that you put on, like for adults. They put little footies on
Gotcha.
to skate around.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're
That-
welcome.
That was wonderful. I was so tickled. And I had at least 3 or 4 people say to me, this was like a Hallmark movie.
I know, I
It
heard
did.
that too.
It did.
Yeah. The only thing next time, we're going to put Santa up on a pedestal, up on a,
It's a good
like,
idea.
like a riser, so people can see him.
Bucket, fire
Yeah.
truck.
Yeah. We're not going to do the Ford truck next year, so. All right, thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Wendy.
Wendy. It was well received. There was a lot of people up there, and kids really seemed to be enjoying that skate. It kind of surprised me. It's the first time I've ever seen something like that, and it was jammed. So it was just very well received, and I think public really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I just don't think anybody on council was against it. That was just, that comment struck me in the beginning. I don't think
Yeah,
anybody was against it.
That doesn't, it's not sitting well with me, actually, so.
I don't know. I mean, that's why I was asking her, where would she get that city council was questioning it?
Okay, any other questions or comments on the tree lighting? Okay, the next item, I think this was discussed a little bit at the last meeting under the East Richland Christian School for the Live Nativity. They did some double checking on this. It's going to be on the sidewalk, so it's going to be on county property. They have no issue with it. We've checked the schedule for everything with the city, so the city's not running anything on those 2 nights that would be in conflict with them, or they wouldn't be in conflict with the city. So it's just going to be a 2-night thing. Jacob, if you want to read the letter, just
Dear Mayor Thalman and City Council, I am writing to you from the Drama Department at East Richland Christian School, where it is always our desire to share the message and hope of through Jesus Christ with our community. In these stressful times, it is so important to give something positive when we have the opportunity. As the Christmas season approaches this year, we seek your permission for our live nativity. This is not a fundraiser for the school or for the drama group. It is just a way for us to extend a moment of peace in a stressful time. As in years past, we would like to present the live nativity at the courthouse near the Christmas tree. This would be more of a tableau with music playing and not a play or pageant. Although we would love to use a few small live animals, that is not necessary. We would love to do this for 2 evenings from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. on December 4th and December 7th. This time of year, many people find themselves racing home from their jobs to face holiday pressures while also dealing with the reality of rising prices, events overseas, and the troubles of our world, without taking a moment to reflect on the meaning of the Christmas season. Our intent and purpose is to reach out to the people driving by and to give them that moment of peace. Please contact me, Beverly Green, at my phone number. Thank you so much for your consideration and time and for all you do for the city of St. Clairsville and surrounding areas. Sincerely, Beverly Green.
okay, they're asking for permission from the city, and basically we're securing those 2 nights to make sure there's no conflict. There's nothing now. I double checked again today, so if anybody would like to make a motion to approve,
I'll make a motion.
Can I ask a question? Or do you want a motion first, or?
well, go ahead if you got a question.
I just wonder what the few small live animals are.
They never said.
Okay.
We had a sheep
There
and
probably
goat
could be a lot
last
of
year.
deer the way that there are in town. There could be a lot of deer at that. Okay, we have a motion to approve in a second. Linda second. Take a vote.
Butler,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
Lipscomb,
Yes.
Oakridge,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Brash,
Yes.
Vincenzo.
Yes.
All members are in favor.
Okay, that live nativity has been approved, 7-0. And I believe the first night on the 4th will be the night of the first council meeting in December also. So Okay, we'll move on to the reports. Mayor, do you have a report this evening?
Yes, I do. Thank you, Jim. First of all, I would like to express my sincere gratitude and thanks to the citizens of St. Clairsville who re-elected me. Please know that my success is truly a team success. Nothing we've accomplished would have been possible without every member of my team. So let me say thank you to all of our departments, to Jeremy Greenwood, who's got the city on such a positive direction with continued success, Matt Arbens for shaping what I believe to be the finest police department in our area. I was very honored to be reelected, and I promise everyone we will put forth our best effort every day on your behest. Thank you. I was very honored to speak at the Veterans Ceremony on the Courthouse Plaza. Reminds us, like I've told the veterans, probably the two most important days on my calendar are Memorial Day and Veterans Day. That's the days that we thank the people who made it possible for us all to be here and engage in free speech. So I do really appreciate them. I met with Elizabeth Glick and Jeremy regarding easements, met with Eric Gay regarding some ball fields, some personnel things, completed mayor's court training. I met with Monroe County Commissioners regarding the Monroe Theater and Arts Center. I went down there to talk to them about, with what we're doing with the Junior Fair building, maybe we can incorporate some of their ideas. I'd like to congratulate the law enforcement who participated in the active shooter drill at the school. From what I understand, the bad guys were located and taken out pretty quickly. Congratulations on a successful training exercise. And finally, it's hard to believe that we are already in Thanksgiving week. The rec center will be holding a turkey trot on Thursday morning for all who wish to get some exercise. And the Newellstown Diner will be doing a Thanksgiving dinner on Thursday for those who wish to come down for delicious food and fellowship. And I think that's starting at noon. Is that correct, Tara? I'm sure they would appreciate any offerings to offset their cost. And finally, thank you to the Chamber, Wendy and Lisa, for the outstanding tree lighting Thursday night. She pretty much said it all, but it really made a wonderful kickoff to Christmas and really put our city in a beautiful showcase. And again, thank you to Donnie Smithberger and his elves for getting it all ready for Santa. I was down there last week watching them put those lights on and ornaments, and I got several more gray hairs from that, but that's okay, they're covered already. And please remember to keep gratitude and prayer in your hearts as we celebrate Thanksgiving. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Mayor. Anybody have any questions or comments for the mayor on her report?
Just one question. What time did the turkey trot begin?
I think at 9.
9.
9.
Yeah. 9
Christy would
o'clock.
probably know. Yeah, 9. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
If anybody wants to help, I was talking to Eric today too. He said he'd like to have any assistance down there around 8 o'clock if anybody can help. It was kind of fun. I was down there last year. I didn't walk, but I rode the car.
He was the ambulance driver.
I rode the car. Brought Christy back to the building. Okay, we'll move on to the Service Director's report. Mr. Jeremy Greenwood.
Good evening, Council. As always, everything's busy. Council items tonight before us, 2023-38 supplemental appropriations. We need that as an emergency to be able to finish out the year. 2023-39, we had an oil and gas company approach us about leasing some property again. There's 3 parcels that they'd like. We have to advertise for that, and then we'll receive bids based off of that. That we would like to have an emergency to be able to get that process started. 2023-40, the GIS GPS position, creation of the position. This we're asking for emergency, but this can be multiple readings. Figured we'd have a discussion on that and which direction we're going with this. And then 2023-41, our team found another grant. I need permission from council to submit for the grant, and it is due December 1st, I do believe, isn't it?
I think so.
So I need that as soon as possible. Meetings, we've had 11 meetings since the last council meeting. Completed projects, the ASME contract, just waiting for the union so we can set up a meeting to sign it. Water nodes, we've replaced 8 more since our last meeting. We're up to 256 now for the year. Route line, water line, the pipe is running down towards Plaza Drive. We had an issue with some locates. They're working on that, going through it. Water distribution, the big project. We've got old lines that have been abandoned and drained, old hydrants that are going to start being removed. Currently, right now, they're working down the east side of Route 40 on East Main. They're also working on Walnut and doing sidewalks and driveways on the north side of East Main, and then they completed the section that they had on North Sugar. Highway EPA, the water plant backup generator that we got, the $50,000 grant, that was delivered. We're working on getting the slab set in place so we can get it installed. Christmas tree lighting. As the mayor mentioned, the ice skating rink was a big hit. You can see from the pictures when they scroll up through, there was a lot of kids here. Also, the active shooter drill. I don't know if council knows or not, but the city participates in that when that happens. If there's ever an emergency, the city employees block off streets for the police and the school. Upcoming projects. We're still picking up leaves. Leaf machine broke last week. It was down for a day and a half. We've got it fixed, but obviously now we're behind, so we're still working. If somebody has bagged leaves, they can call in, leave their address, and we'll get that taken care of. Still working on the junior fair or junior rec building grant. With that work, the athletic court grant for Central Park. We're still waiting on the rec center HVAC unit, getting a estimated delivery of about December 15th through the 20th, which puts us right in the cold season, but it is what it is. Same thing with the wastewater plant. Still working on easements for both paving. We've got kind of a map out where what we're going to look at paving for next year. Just working with some engineers to get some other issues done on some of these streets so we don't have to come back over and tear them up. Still got some sinkhole projects that we're working on, culverts. We did some locates and door hangers for both water line projects that are going on to let the citizens know what's going on, working with them on sidewalks and the driveways. Updating our administrative policies and procedures. New sections have to be added, obviously, with the election results, with some of the new laws that are coming into place. We'll have to adjust some of our policies. Department-wise, electric department, obviously the Christmas tree and decorations, still doing service work and disconnects. Worked on some poles, substation maintenance, tree trimming. That's been a big thing this year. We've really gotten into that pretty good. Water and wastewater, same thing, the nodes, camera and lines, locating manholes, working on the policies and procedures with stuff. The smoke testing letters are being sent out either today or tomorrow. They'll go out. What we did is adjusted it so that obviously going into winter, the extended period was a lot more for some of the fixes. Still fixing hydrants, curb boxes and valves. We're down to 5 hydrants now out of service, so we're getting there. It's pretty good. We only had 12 before, but we're still working on that. Water line breaks the same as last time. We're at 37 total for the year. Water nodes, we talked about that. Street department leaves, patching potholes where we can. Believe it or not, we're still mowing in some spots and camera culverts where we need to. Rec center, the mayor mentioned the turkey trot. We also transferred the use of the 6x6 that we bought used from the street department to the rec center for use with junior sports. So that'll be used out there. Police department, car 5 is back in service, and I'd like to thank the police. One of our K9 units had a really, really nice bust. Got some good drugs off the street, and want to thank them for for being vigilant and taking care of things. The last thing, good to the city. I want to thank the citizens who went out and voted, and that's it.
Thank you, Jeremy. Anyone have any questions? JC?
You get my text about Market Street lease?
Yep.
I get 'em.
Yep, we're working on it. We're just really behind because the machine was down.
Mike?
No, I was just wondering, is there a new schedule for the leaf pickup that we can?
We're just still going through. This week, we were supposed to have gotten through all 4 wards last week. I do believe they're finished 3, and they should be in 4. Tomorrow, I think tomorrow is when it's supposed to rain. They're going to do bags and then hit it again, and then we're probably going to have to hit it again after we come back from Thanksgiving.
Okay, so people should just put them out there and they'll.
Just put them out there and let us know where it's at, and we'll just deal with it.
Okay.
Good.
Okay, I have a couple. First, just to stay with the leaves. It was my ward today, and thank you. It's just a great service that the city provides, so I appreciate the picking up those loose leaves. You may have said this and I just missed it, and I apologize. The generator that we're getting, where is that going to be located?
Down at the pump house for the water plant. So not the water plant itself, but once that gets decommissioned, where we're connected to the county.
Okay. Is the water fountain fixed at the bike trail?
It is not, because it's been winterized now.
Okay. So
We have the parts.
first thing on the list?
It's the first thing on the list. We're actually going to take it and
When the
try and
weather
get it
breaks.
powder coated over winter while it's
Okay.
down, and then be able to hit it first thing in the
Okay, so first thing on the list, if I attend as a citizen, because
You
it's not
can,
an agenda,
yes,
I can
and
ask
you
that
can keep
question.
bugging me about it, yes.
I shall, thank you. Then, so I'm just a little curious, like there was an urgency for us to get that contract signed and to go through the contract, the labor contract, and I'm just wondering about the delay. I mean, there seemed to be a lot of interest, there were a lot of people that came, like, I'm having
I
a
don't
hard
know
time
why.
understanding.
I didn't get a chance, the union rep called me today, but I missed his call, so I'll call him tomorrow and see what's going on. I think it was just something to do with the formatting, but I don't know. I've been asking and going, because we're actually going by the contract now with any of the union issues that pop up. So I don't know if it's just more of a formality or what, but
Yeah, there was such an urgency, right, for us to get it signed, so I'm just curious. So if you can definitely keep us posted on when that gets signed, so it's an official contract. And then I guess the other thing I just wanted to throw out there is we're talking about the renovations at we got that generous grant to fix up that building down by the rec center, right? So as we do look at that as a multi-use building, I just wonder if, as we're looking at the renovations, that we could consider, there's always been a concern about this room not being handicap accessible for council meetings. And I wonder if that building couldn't be a place that the council meetings could be conducted there in the future, or as we move toward renovating it, so that it becomes accessible to more people and you don't have the barrier of the steps.
What building are you talking about, the new?
Junior Fair.
The Junior Fair building.
Junior Rec.
They've got, how much money did we get?
Over 250.
$250,000 to renovate that, like an all-season kind of thing. And I don't know that that's even a possibility, I just throw that out.
I don't think it's gonna be set up for that kind of a thing. And from what Eric indicated at the rec board meeting last week, he's already fielding calls for people wanting to rent that facility because of the nature of everything in it. I don't think it's gonna be available, and I don't know how you would, because of what's gonna be in it, I don't know how you'd have meetings in it.
Yeah, I just feel like that there really should be a push to making council meetings where they could be, anybody can attend. There's no barrier for a wheelchair or crutches.
I agree with you.
So maybe it's not there, maybe it's the rec center. I mean, I'm not suggesting we build a new rec building, I'm not suggesting we put an elevator in this one. I'm saying here was an opportunity, maybe, twice a month, you can rent it, but you can't rent it for this period of time, and that may not be the place. It just seems like, gotta try to keep thinking about how can we find a place where more people, the public, can access the meetings if they choose to, without any physical barriers. So that may not be the place, right? but I just figured I'd throw it out as we're getting ready to renovate that building, that I don't know if that was possible.
Definitely something to consider, to find some kind of handicap accessible situation.
Maybe it's the rep center for that twice a month, you know.
We kind of thought about that train station, and we did not get the grant for that, to be a meeting room and possibly do council there because it's flat too. So,
Okay, those are my questions. Thanks.
Any other questions for Jeremy?
The other end of Grady Alley, are they done with Grady, or are they gonna level out the one end?
Don't know, I'll check and see. I thought that they had finished, but let me check.
Well, they did the one side that is the sugar side, but the North Market side, you still bottom out.
Okay.
Both sides have sunk beside the middle.
It's the garbage trucks. Let me check
Yep.
and see.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Any other questions for Jeremy? Okay. Any other questions? We'll move on to Police Chief Matt Arbenz. Matt?
Good evening, everyone. Our active shooter event went very well this year. We're always happy that we're able to see improvements in our planning and effectiveness. And I'd like to extend our thanks to the street department, the students and staff at St. Ursula Schools, Belmont County Sheriff's Office and their Special Operations Branch, Richland Township Police Department, Ohio State Patrol Post 7, Cumberland Trail Fire Department, Barton Volunteer Fire Department, Wheeling Hospital, and ODOT for their commitment to this event. Our yearly mandatory continued professional training assignment of 24 hours to each officer will be completed a month ahead of schedule. And Jeremy already mentioned Car 5 is finally back. It was for the past month waiting on a singular part. It was just hard to get in. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. You guys did a real good job for the tree lighting Saturday night also. Any questions or comments for the police chief? Okay, we'll move on to Finance Director Annette Weldon.
Good evening, everyone. We did have a finance meeting tonight, and I'll let Dawn share with that. We're working on the temporary budget. It will be, hopefully I'll have it to you guys by early next week for a week's worth of viewing before we bring it into legislation. Jeremy and the department heads and I are working on that. And that's all I have.
Anybody have any comments?
regarding the audit, do we now have a record retention schedule?
No, not yet. We're working on that, right, Elizabeth?
Yeah, we have to wait. Jennifer's been doing a lot of work on that. We're waiting to hear back from a couple department heads yet on there.
Okay. And who else included on the records commission?
Pardon?
Who else included on that records commission? And when do they meet?
I know Jennifer will be on it, I will be on it. Jeremy is not on it, believe it or not. He will not be party to it.
Okay. And when will you meet?
We're supposed to meet twice a year, so we'll set up those meetings.
Okay. And also, I noticed that they noted the fund that was set up that was supposed to be approved. I noticed that they said that it had not been removed yet.
No, I did remove it.
Okay.
I'm not sure if I could actually take it off. It's not active though, so we're not doing anything with it.
Okay, so it doesn't have to be removed?
No, I'm not sure on UAN.
Which fund was that?
The one that we were going to set up, a donation fund, an
Oh.
extra fund when we were doing the turkey trot,
Okay.
so.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Now, I'd just like to add that for council, if they probably already noticed, but our charter says we have to have a records retention committee, I believe, right?
We have to have a committee. We have to have it by code, so.
And I think I had questioned that before too. Why we didn't have one, and there's actually schedules that tells you how long to keep things, right? I mean.
And that has been revised. We had a policy, but it was not extensive enough. we didn't keep up with the changes in legislation. So now it's being revised and we'll be reinstituting that.
For example, emails, 5 years. Have to maintain emails for 5 years.
I was going to say, that explains why I didn't get my
Any other
EPA
questions?
records. Denied. Denied.
Okay. We'll move on to planning and zoning administration. Mr. Murphy.
Thanks, Jim. Just a couple of items for council. Christie will update you on the planning commission meeting, and if she needs any assistance, I'll help her with that. First item, this is the time of year, SAM.gov. You're probably not familiar with what SAM.gov is, but in order to apply for federal funds and federal grants, and if we expend any federal monies, we do have to every year register with SAM.gov, update any people in charge. Last year they had changed things, and it took, I think it was almost a month of contacting them every day or every other day, depending on the week. And it was just a bear to register. But we did get it taken care of. So we have to do that again this year. And hopefully it's not as difficult to update. We also, every year, the EPA, stormwater-wise, they require that we double-check what's called outfalls, or areas where culvert system dumps into creeks and streams, and during dry weather, just to make sure that there isn't any infiltration of whether it's oil or gas. And luckily around here, people are pretty good, so we haven't had any problems with those stormwater outfalls since I've been checking them. So, I'll go ahead and I'll stop there. If anyone has questions on those, they're certainly free to ask.
Do you have any questions for Tom? Okay. Thank you, Tom. We move on now to council committees, finance, Mr. Vincenzo.
Yes, we did have our finance meeting tonight, like Annette said. Right now, our revenues are at 79.5%. Expenditures are at 55%, which we're looking real good on that. Annette did talk about the temporary budget. Like she said, she plans on having that to us before our next meeting, which is on December 4th. And we are asking council to, review each line on that. And I'm sure we will rediscuss this at the December 4th meeting, and hoping to have that approved, or we do have to have it approved by the last meeting of the year. We also discussed some of the vehicles that were bought this year, and we are going to get for council a vehicle list, number of vehicles, the year of the vehicle, and mileage on the vehicle, and that will help us through next year's planning, so that we know what vehicles will need replaced, if any do. We also discussed the contractual services budget, which we also discussed at resolution number 2023-40, which will be discussed tonight, about where that money would come from if that GIS person is appointed and approved. We discussed a lot about the paving and kind of like what kind of money we will have next year in the budget, which we really need to look at that pretty hard. The water line project, everything is on track. We'll be working through the winter on that. And Jeremy said we got, we're on good target with it, and we're getting a lot done. That was pretty much it. But like I said, more to come definitely on the temporary budget. We really need council involved on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Don. Anybody have any questions for Don?
Probably for both you guys. The temporary budget, we get it electronically, and some of us still like paper. Some of us.
Yeah, I'll send it, when I finish it up, I'll send it electronic, and then anybody wants a copy in their box.
So could you put a copy in my box? Thanks. And then if we know, like, when you send it electronic, that's when I could pick it up then, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I'll do it at the same time.
I'd like that too, please.
Okay.
Does anyone else want a paper copy? I mean,
I would definitely like a paper copy, yeah.
Yeah.
JC, would you like a paper copy?
Why not?
I would like a paper copy.
Do you want a paper copy as well?
Please.
Could you want one?
Yeah, I guess.
I'll just give everybody one.
It's just easier
It'll be
to,
your Christmas present.
Everybody's getting something.
A vote on it.
Copy. And that's not confidential information, is that correct?
No, it's not. I
Oh,
mean,
it's a public record.
It won't be, it's not approved, so, I mean, once it's approved, but you can discuss it, you know, with whoever you want to discuss.
I'm just thinking Holly's going to be sitting here, so, I mean, if she
We'll
wanted a
get Holly
copy,
a copy,
you know what I mean?
Oh, thank you. I like a bow, please.
2 votes for you.
Okay, any other questions for Don?
So the vehicle list, like, I assume it'll be some kind of Excel spreadsheet, and it's going to say where the vehicle is, like, assigned to, because I think that's an important part. If I'm going to have a list, like, so is this at the water department, is this at the city building, is it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That seems easy enough to add a column to that.
Yeah, we did get a list, I think it was like pretty much the first quarter of last year, but we did buy 3 new vehicles last year, and I'd just like to have it updated, but this time with the mileage so that we can be prepared if a vehicle comes available, if we need it or not. You know, we'll be prepared for it. There won't be no like emergency legislation or anything like that to hurry up and pass one. We'll have a heads up on the game.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, move on to utilities. Sherry, do you have a report this evening?
No report. Next meeting is December 4th, 6:15.
Mike, you have anything on the police committee?
No report, but we have a standing meeting after the second Monday. I'd like to maybe meet for 5 or 10 minutes after this meeting.
No vehicles, but let me choose.
Would be
Okay,
great.
Mike, do you have anything north side streets?
I do not.
JC, I'm sorry, Don.
If I can ask Jeremy on the north side streets, what is the progress with the water line at Walnut? Is it almost complete?
Yes, I'd say they're supposed to be doing connections, service connections this week, and then we will be looking at doing our crossover connection down Route 40 probably next week or the week after.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, JC, do you have anything on safety?
Nothing on safety.
Okay, building and grounds. Beth?
I have no report.
You forgot Southside.
Got Southside.
I'm sorry, I thought I did. Do you have anything on south side?
No report, but Jeremy, that Spring Street, any update on that?
Refresh me, what was that one?
Bottoming out on Spring Street.
I don't remember that one, sorry. Check.
Okay.
Spring. Oh, yeah, I remember you texting me.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. Haven't had a chance to get to it, it's on the list, but yeah. Sorry, brain fart.
Sorry, JC. Okay, now we'll move on to building and grounds. Beth?
I still have no report.
Okay, Beth, that'll make me never know. Planning Commission, Christie.
The Planning Commission met last Monday. We discussed temporary businesses and food trucks. Tom was directed to come up with some text for the purpose of discussion and present that at the Planning Commission's January 8th meeting. Also, there will be a meeting December 11th of the Planning Commission where the Cumberland Trail Fire District will be presenting their plans for final site plan approval. The main part of their project is the construction of 2 new additions and the reconfiguration of the interior to improve the quality of life for the fire department personnel.
Okay, anybody have any questions for Christie?
Christie, what time is that meeting?
6 o'clock.
And the January 8th meeting is at
6 o'clock. Yep.
Any other questions for Christie? Okay, we'll move on to Fire District. Linda, do you have a report?
There will be a special meeting for hiring and promotions on December 27th, 8:15 a.m. at the OUE Fitness Center.
Okay, anybody have any questions on Fire District? We'll move on to Recreation. Christie?
Turkey Trot is Thursday at 9 a.m. You must register online. There will be no rec board meeting in December. So the next rec board meeting will be held Thursday, January 18th, 2024 at 4:30 p.m. at the rec center.
Okay, anybody have any questions for Christie? Beth?
So Christie, there's no day of registration. You couldn't just show up at that.
No, I think I think you have to register ahead of time because you get your race packet and your T-shirt and everything. So, yeah, you definitely need to register ahead of time, unless
Let me find out.
you don't want a T-shirt.
What is it, Christie, $25 to register?
I believe
I
so.
think so, okay.
And then you can also make an additional donation when you register online. All the money's going to the new ball field. So.
Any other questions for Christie on rec? Or
Are you running this year? Or walking?
I'm going to attempt to walk one more time.
Mike?
nobody's ever going to let you forget that.
I might. Might win it.
Casey, you can ask me?
Beth, are you running?
Nope.
Okay. You
If
walking?
no other questions, we'll move on to Park District. Linda, do you have anything on the park?
No report. Next meeting, November 24th, 4:30 p.m. at Preferred Legacy Bank.
Eric says cutoff for registration is the day of, but pre-registration ends Wednesday at noon.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, that finishes council committees. We'll now move on to ordinances and resolutions. Law Director Elizabeth Flick.
Okay, 4 pieces of legislation before council tonight. The first one is ordinance number 2023-38, and that's an ordinance to make supplemental appropriations and revenues for the normal expenses and other expenditures for the city for the period of January 1st, 2023 through December 31st, 2023, and that is and declaring an emergency.
Okay, Jacob, will you read ordinance 2023-38?
Ordinance number 2023-38, an ordinance to make supplemental appropriations and revenues for the normal expenses and other expenditures of the city of St. Clairsville, state of Ohio, for the period January 1st, 2023 through December 31st, 2023, and declaring an emergency.
Okay, emergency has been declared in there. Does anyone wish to consider passing that as emergency legislation?
Ask a question. Am I allowed to ask a question then?
Sure.
The $150,000 for Parks and Rec, is that that's not the,
That was the donations that we have to turn in as an
We have to
increase in
appropriate them
revenue.
someplace.
no, I mean,
We're expecting
is
them.
that our the, I don't know what the heck it's called, the grant?
Yes, the two.
Huh?
The grants.
But
The-
that's
the
not-
amount.
One was from the.
That's,
For those.
Yeah.
One's a grant, one's a donation, right?
Yeah.
yeah, well, this is 150, which is,
Well, that's the total of the two
that's
things.
not, no, the grant's 150, ain't it?
No.
No.
It's 140,
140.
correct?
I thought it was 150.
Oh, wait, no, the grant's 150, but the donations came up to 140, correct?
No.
100 and
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just, is
Well,
that
they've
one?
already increased it once, I think,
Yeah.
so.
So we already put
Some.
money in it for the grant in there?
Well, we appropriated it, we had to put it somewhere, so, yeah.
Is this what's reappropriating it?
This is
No,
if
this
we
is
wanted to
additional.
spend any this year, too.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out if we're putting all of it, the 100 and something and the 150 into the fund.
It's all the money goes into the fund.
Yeah, I know, I just didn't know what money this was.
This was the donation and 50,000 from the grant.
So how much of the 150 was a grant and how much of the 150 was a donation? I think is that the question?
That's pretty much what I'm trying to get at.
The donation, they were not wanting it to get out. How much? So we're,
Who's they?
the bank, the donatee.
The donor?
Okay. No, I'm confused, but okay.
So we're calling it contributions and donations.
Yes.
Yes.
So,
I'm just as confused as JC.
I'm lost.
But, so,
$150,000 was given to the city, is that correct?
Yes.
And that $150,000 has to be appropriated.
It doesn't have to be appropriated. I mean, we
That's what this is.
appropriated. This is the bottom part is a revenue, an increase in the revenue from what we originally anticipated.
So this ordinance is to make supplemental appropriations and revenues.
Yes.
So, okay, I see. So the
And the
first
revenue-
ones are the appropriations, and this is an additional revenue.
Yes.
We have to put that someplace.
And,
Yes, we have
and
to
work is
record
already
that.
starting, and the people, like, it has to go for
Yeah.
those specific purposes. We
Right.
can't put it anywhere else.
Right. So, and then I talked to Eric, and we've been working with Jeremy on seeing what we're actually going to spend this year of that. So that's where we put an increase in the appropriations too, in case we decide to spend any of that.
For the end of the year.
If not,
Gotcha.
it'll just be carried over. So it will be spent on the proposed projects.
Okay, we've had the first reading. Again, emergency was requested. Does anyone wish to take any further action?
I move that the rules requiring ordinances and resolutions to be read on 3 separate readings be suspended and declaring an emergency.
Okay, do we have a second? Mr. Smith, take a roll call vote.
Butler,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
Lipscomb,
Yes.
Oakridge,
Yes.
Smith,
yes.
Thrash,
Yes.
Vincenzo.
Yes.
All members are in favor.
Okay, this will be considered emergency legislation. Jacob, will you read it for the final time?
Ordinance number 2023-38, an ordinance to make supplemental appropriations and revenues for the normal expenses and other expenditures of the city of St. Clairsville, state of Ohio, for the period January 1st, 2023 through December 31st, 2023, and declaring an emergency.
Okay, we need a motion to vote on this legislation.
I'll make a motion.
AC.
One second. Yeah, we got it. Yeah.
Could you take a roll call vote, please?
Butler,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
Lipscomb,
Yes.
Oakridge,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Thrash,
Yes.
Vincenzo.
Yes.
All members are in favor.
Okay, 2023-38 has been approved. Okay, Elizabeth?
Okay, second piece of legislation is ordinance number 2023-39, and that's an ordinance authorizing the advertisement for bids to lease oil and gas owned by the city of St. Clairsville, Ohio, and declaring an emergency. There are 3 additional properties to potentially be leased, and together they are about 23.5 acres of additional land.
Elizabeth, where are they?
I have them here,
Pass this down.
yeah,
Are these the 3?
Yes.
yes.
One thing.
Yeah,
Oh, so they'll just keep passing.
You just asked where, right?
What's that?
You just asked where.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out where it's at, like that, like Jerry.
Provident Reservoir.
Yeah.
Where?
Provident Reservoir.
Provident Reservoir.
Reservoir. Like down by the.
56.
Our garage,
No.
No, no.
On
That's our main
56.
reservoir.
county road.
Provident Reservoir.
Provident.
Over by
Rabbit's
Kirk
Garage.
Porterfield's
Secondary reservoir
property.
over on by Porterfield.
Okay.
You know where Kirk Porterfield's farm is?
Get down.
I know where County Road 56 is. I know if you go down there before you get
Then you
to
make
what
a
used to be
left.
the Beagle Club, you make a
Yeah.
right, don't you?
It's out there on the left of where the old register is.
And that's 20 acres in one thing?
It's 19 acres. The largest piece is 19 acres. The smallest piece is
0.82.
0.82 of an acre.
And there's a
And then there's a
3.56.
3.5. Yeah, you've got that. Do you have the, there's a tax map.
And then the Vineyard Road property is Route 9 south, heading out of town, or north, I'm sorry, north.
The Vineyard Road goes north.
Yeah, okay, under the pipe, train tracks with pipe.
So this, if we do this, sooner we do it, the better it is. 'Cause
Yeah,
get the
we have to advertise and
get
go
that.
through the whole steps and the process and everything else, which I'm surprised they just haven't unitized this, but I don't know if they can.
You're surprised they haven't what?
Unitized,
this.
that's forced unitization, where if they have 65% of the property owners in a unit, then they can force unitize the remaining property owners.
Okay.
But they must not have the 65% yet.
No.
So should we be checking with the adjacent property owners? Or, I don't know.
It'd probably, you get a better deal if you agree to lease than if you're unitized.
Yeah.
Because you won't get the bonus payment if you're unitized. And your royalties slightly lower.
Is this, okay, so I'm under, kind of by the bike trail, is this ball fielded on?
No.
Is it adjacent to? No?
Mm-mm.
Ball fields are here, this is over here. This is more behind the space view than anything. We're at Porterfield.
It's on the other side of the road. From the ball field.
Ball fields are on the east side of Route 9, this is on the west side.
Has this property been, was it leased before and then the lease expired, or this is a brand new?
No.
No.
This was one of the ones that was advertised last time and they didn't take it. But now that they're coming back and saying they want it, now we have to go through the process again and advertise again.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay, Jacob, will you read 2339?
Ordinance number 2023-39, an ordinance authorizing the advertisement for bids to lease oil and gas owned by the city of St. Clairsville, Ohio, and declaring an emergency.
Okay, again, this is requested as emergency. Does anybody wish to consider this emergency legislation?
Yeah, I move that the rules requiring ordinances, resolutions to be read on 3 separate readings be suspended and declaring an emergency.
Need a second? Mr. Vincenzo? Okay, will you call, roll call vote to consider emergency?
Butler,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
Lipscomb,
Yes.
Oakridge,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Thrash,
Yes.
Vincenzo.
Yes.
All members are in favor.
Okay, 2023-39 will be considered emergency. We'll now read it for the final time.
Ordinance number 2023-39, an ordinance authorizing the advertisement for bids to lease oil and gas owned by the city of St. Clairsville, Ohio, and declaring an emergency.
Okay, we'll now entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Second? Take a roll call vote, please.
Butler,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
Lipscomb,
Yes.
Oakridge,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Thrash, Vincenzo.
Yes.
All members are in favor.
Okay, 2023-39 has also been approved. Move on to 2023-40.
And this is a resolution creating the position of GIS Coordinator and declaring an emergency. But I believe it can be done on separate readings if council so desires.
Okay, Jacob, you read one.
I have a question on this first. Is there a reason we can't use the county's GIS coordinator?
The county won't share it. Two separate entities.
Okay, because, and also previously, I don't know if you were aware, but this was done as a part-time job by Brian Krolovic. So
But he
did you
was
consider-
already part-time with the city, doing all city stuff. He was already hired.
Right, had you considered something like that?
Part-time is not going to work with what we have to do. You weren't here earlier, I'm sorry. Here. This is what the EPA is requiring us to do. We have to identify all service lines from the meter out to the curb box, and from the curb box to the corp stop, which is where it connects to our line for every utility that we have for
It is a
water.
full-time job.
So,
And the county will not share. You've already checked with that.
no, they won't share.
You've already checked with it.
I haven't, but I know they won't. Two separate entities.
So before we so I just got this today, right? So can we do we have to can we hear why we're proposing
Well, I
this?
figured we'd have a discussion. Actually, that was
Yeah.
part of it, was this requirement here. So the EPA's mandated that we have every GPS, latitude, longitude, length, material, install date for every service line that we have in the city for water.
Okay.
We have less than a year to do it.
Okay, so this is GIS.
Mhm.
Okay. So
Mapping.
we do mapping now?
Yep, we do mapping now.
And how
So
do we
we
do
have
mapping?
maps with everything, but what we don't have is from the customer's house to our services.
Did you check downstairs? Because Brian left all that down there.
Yes. No, it's not. I have our mapping.
So we do map. Is it okay that I ask a couple questions about this,
Yeah.
Jim? Is it okay that
Yeah,
I...
sure.
Okay, so we have this discussion now, right? So we need to have this mapping, and we have had mapping done over the years. And it's been on, as I understand it, on a what's that called? Contractual basis, right? So the rationale for this to go from contractual, okay, a couple questions. So what do we spend contractually for having our system?
$75,000.
75,000? Okay. And we pay a consultant to do that? And so just help me understand our rationale for then wanting to increase that to, why does it need to be more than a consultant?
The amount of time that they have into it.
Okay.
To be able to go through, Anita's not here, but I think we have almost 3,000 utility services.
This is what the EPA is now.
Yep.
And is this new what the EPA is asking us?
It's been out for about a month or two, but we have about a year for it.
So work has to be done in a year. We're looking for a full-time position. What does this full-time person do after the year's work?
Continue to map and go through. What we were talking about before is, what we want to get is all the sewer laterals, the water laterals, and the electric laterals from all the residents map on our mapping, so that we know where everything is, so that we can look at it and make determinations as to what we need to do. It also will give us dates, locations, so that we can do like what Dawn was talking about with asset management. This is all part of our asset management plan.
So currently, we spend $75,000 a year on mapping. And that, do we spend that entire, I know we might have it appropriated for $75,000 for mapping. Do we spend that entire amount?
I think we only have about 3,000 left for this year.
I would have to look, actually.
Yeah, the last meeting, we just had a meeting with him, with the consultant two weeks ago. There's about 3,000 left on the contract for this year.
So if we're using a consultant and we're spending $75,000, and I guess that would be a helpful figure for me. I'm just speaking for myself. Having seen this for the first time, I'd be more comfortable with multiple readings and discussions, right? So I can try to understand, what we're looking for. Because if I think, okay, we're spending $75,000, have we been spending that amount? Is that a true amount? It might be true this year, but do we have a little bit of a, did we spend that last year, did we spend it the year before? Because if we're going to turn it into a full-time position, then you got to throw in a benefit package.
Last year, we had 50.
Okay. So that would, and if it's gone up every year, then potentially next year it could be 100,000. But a full-time position is going to cost the city some additional money in a benefit package. So say take about 30%, just take it even 25. So this $75,000 position is cost the city 100,000, and that may be money well spent. But then I would want to know, is this the only thing this person's going to do? Can they help in other ways?
Yeah, they'll be helping in some of the other areas too. What we had mentioned was some of the building projects that we're doing, helping out with some of those. Not so much the grunt work out in the hole, but going out and mapping actual locations of our breaks and things as they come up, and helping out with other areas like that.
Some of the breaks have been really expensive because the mapping was not true that we had, and the valves wouldn't be where they thought they were. I mean, what was the one down in the plaza? That was like a $20,000 mess in front of Burger King, because nothing was where it was supposed to be. And
which is something that's just come up too with the West End Waterline project coming through now. Our mapping, we identified where the the locates are out on the street where our water lines are. Contractor went out, dug a hole, trying to do the tap for the new water line. Wasn't in the right spot, so he had to fill that hole in, move 5-6 feet more, do another hole, and going through. So there's probably a $5,000 change order that we got just from that, just because our mapping isn't accurate.
Yeah, the inaccuracy is expensive.
So an actual cost of the city for creating this position each year, right? Not total, but we're already spending $75,000 to map. So this would be an additional, whatever the benefit package would be, cost to the city. And would that, if we could use this person for other things? Donnie, you said we're at 55% expenditures thus far this year?
Yeah.
And 79% revenue?
Revenue.
So I'm assuming if this is the request, that it would be in this budget that we're preparing, this position, and we would have the money to do that.
We would split it 4 ways between the 4 departments. So figure with benefits would be, just depends on the HRA thing, probably 25,000 around there, and depending on what insurance plan they would pick, and it would be like 30,000 between the water, street, sewer, and electric departments.
So right now we've got $75,000 in contractual services.
At least,
and then now this would be
up.
100,000 would be split between the 4 departments. I think those are my questions at the moment.
How did you arrive at the $75,000 per year salary?
That was based off of negotiations with several other entities and looking at what other entities have paid for on a similar position. Somebody with that
How much does
education.
the county guy make?
Which one? There's a couple different ones.
Who's in
I
charge?
do not know what the head one makes. I'll find out though.
Okay, I'd be interested to know what, I don't know, I'm not familiar with that department, but I'd be interested to see what they make in that department.
We've had contractors doing this same thing for the last
As long as
4+
I've been here,
years.
yeah. Even before that.
So then, like, the mapping that is so far off, where we had to re-dig on
What-
for the post office, was that this contractor that?
No.
located-
What had happened was we had an old system. Right now we were in ArcGIS. We had an old mapping info. It was called Map Info. What they did was they took our hand-drawn maps, which is accurate. That is, you're trying to draw. It's this far from this curve and everything else. And then we in-house at the time had drawn stuff in. And from my research on it, what I'm being told is that the person that was doing it would say, "That's not how this goes. It has to go this way," and they would just change it without
redrawing it.
Well, without investigating to see if that's actually how it was. And a lot of times it's not. So we're trying to bring back maps that are hand-drawn maps from, we've got water lines and maps drawn from the 20s, 30s, and 40s and trying to assimilate them into this and to be able to use this.
And we have less than 1 year to do this, but what has...
Well, that's just that one EPA project. We've got,
but what has the contractor been doing for the last 4+ years?
Updating the mapping and going through it, yeah. As we find things, surveying actual locations of where manholes are instead of just relying on the map and saying, oh yeah, there's a manhole here. They've actually been going out with survey equipment, mapping it, and then updating the maps going through it. So they haven't done a bad job or anything. It's just
It's tedious.
we need more focus on it than what we're getting with.
So over the past 4 years, the contractor is, let's say, 60% done?
I wouldn't even say that. I mean, and the other thing with this GIS system is that literally we can start to identify into the asset management things, valve exercising, when we went out and exercised the valves, when we flushed hydrants, and all of that stuff can be listed on there, and you bring it up in the map and you click on it and it goes through. Pressures and flows and all the hydrants. We're going to have to pressure and test every hydrant again because we've changed the system so much now. So just things like that, going through and identifying pressures and flows and hydrants. This is all information that people need when they come in and want to build. When Trinity came in, that was the first thing they asked was, do you have the utilities to be able to handle us? And we had to go through, and hence why we're actually looking at the water line project now, because the pressures and flows weren't as accurate and as high as they needed to be. But with this new water line, should be plenty, and then they're not going to have to invest in a fire pump, a storage tank, all of this stuff for that.
If we kept the contractor that we have right now for 1 more year, would they finish it?
No, they're not going to get. They will not be able to do the EPA stuff. Now, they'll continually upgrade our maps as we go along and do things, just like we'll
be keeping the contractor plus hiring.
No, we would hire somebody. That's what we're wanting to do, is hire somebody full time to take care of the EPA stuff and the mapping stuff. So he's eligible to come through and take the survey equipment that we already have and go out and do these things that we're paying somebody else to do now.
I think one important thing to point out too is then if we have a city employee dedicated to just the city, when you have a contractor, they might have 10 or 15 different clients. They have to satisfy each one of those clients. Here you'd have a person designated just to do the mapping, whether it's water, sewer, electric, zoning, or whatever. They would be able to coordinate all those different departments. Right now there's varying levels of knowledge on GIS in the different departments. So you might have one department that just, for whatever reason, they don't have the capabilities to understand and update. They can maybe read the map, but as far as integrating any upgrades into the whole program, they just don't have the knowledge on how to do that. We all know how computers have taken over the world, and by us kind of getting ahead of the game and making sure we're current, that only, as Jeremy mentioned, it makes it a benefit when the developer comes in. If they come into your community and they want to know water flows on this specific hydrant, Jeremy or I can just click on our mapping and all that information comes up. It'll just, the way the world's going now, it's a benefit in the long run. If we're paying, that amount or more, or potentially more, now it sounds like it would be, from what I use it for, it would be a huge improvement if I can then latch on to the other departments as well. So, that's kind of...
And that's something going to with the asset management. If we get any loan, any grant, anything from the EPA, the federal EPA or the Ohio EPA, they're asking for our asset management plan. They want to know that we have a plan in place to be able to take care of these assets now. And that's a huge one. And being able to do that with this on the computer and bring up, here's the age of this, here's the last time it was exercised, here's what we got, here's our problems, instead of relying on paper lists and other things. So.
But we do have a plan in place with the contractor right now, correct?
Not really. I mean, the contractor updates the mapping and goes through. They basically will shoot what we tell them to do and go through, but it doesn't even get into what the EPA is requiring us to do and update the asset management.
And did the EPA just drop this on us suddenly?
A couple of months ago, yeah.
Yeah, they did.
Even though we've submitted and sent them documentation that we don't feel we have any lead lines, but we know we have galvanized, we've actually found 7 or 8 in the East Main Street area already. But they're looking at ways to fund. They want to see how bad the actual thing is.
Could I have a copy of that EPA letter that shows the mandate? You don't have to give it to me now. You can email it or whatever.
You have a question?
Go copy it. Oh, thank you, Jim.
I have a couple more questions. Linda, were you done?
Yeah.
So, just kind of as considering this, right, like, Annette, what would be helpful for me is to see what we spent for contractual services for a GIS person, say for the last 3 or 4
I'll go back
years.
as far as I can on the vendor.
And then, so then we'll know like an annual amount that we already dedicate to this anyway. So, because that, it's not just we'd be spending an additional 100 if we already spend 75. So that would be helpful for me. And then most consultants or contractors, they have an hourly rate. So I'd like to know what the hourly rate is, right? Because for me then, I would want to know like, it would be hard to pinpoint exactly, but like how many hours would this take? And if this has to get done and we're being charged $150 an hour, then there's going to be a cost to this that we're going to have to pay in order to get this done. So that's where the hourly rate for me would be helpful.
It's got to be done. I mean, we're being dragged into the 21st century.
No, I don't think anybody's arguing that it
No,
has
I
to be
know.
done. It's what's the most efficient way. It very well may be the most efficient way to do it is to hire a full-time person
Right.
who's at our disposal. But with the absence of figures, I have no idea. So if we could get those figures, that would help me, at least in my mind, what's more efficient. Jeremy, the number 75,000, you kind of did this person makes this, who does this. So my question is, are we looking for somebody with a special certifications?
Yes.
An
Obviously,
engineer?
GIS, not engineer level, but GIS, the one that we're discussing with has a certain amount of education going through and training in this field. So,
But I mean, I would think that we would be needing that, right?
Yes.
Like there would be,
Yes.
like if I'm a social worker, if I'm a licensed social worker, I mean, only certain people.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's not like a engineer license or architect license. It's just it's the education level. So and
Sure.
their skill set.
So if you could kind of, like, we're just, again, the 75,000 seems high, but maybe it's not. Maybe it's actually low for this type of certification. So where we got did we compare similarly situated cities? Did we look at the county, like, to get that number?
Looked at a couple different areas. What was it? Salary.com is a good one for that. We used that looking at it and going through it. But this was also part of a discussion with somebody interested in this.
Okay. So, but we would be, if council said, yeah, let's go ahead and advertise, we would be advertising, right? This would be a position that would be advertised, is that accurate?
It would need to be advertised.
It would need to be advertised.
Yeah.
And do we know if there are other cities, like the size of St. Clairsville or other cities close by that have a GIS person? Like, does Ferry have a GIS person?
No.
Does Steubenville have a GIS person?
Steubenville, I'd have to say probably, but I don't know for sure.
Okay. Okay. So now I would find those figures to be helpful in going forward.
Okay, my question for this is just, we're basically, if this is passed, this is just to advertise for this position. It doesn't
Correct.
necessarily mean somebody's going to be hired.
Creating advertising.
So this is basically just to advertise it for right now.
No, this
Mike?
is to create the new position. It
Yeah,
says
we're
it right.
creating it and advertising.
I mean, my feeling is that we just continue to subcontract this out, but we're a city of 5,000 people. I would just contract this out until it gets out of hand, then we maybe hire somebody.
It's out of hand, that's the
It's out of hand.
problem.
I don't
We've got
have time to do that.
11 months
Well, I would
for the
still
EPA.
I mean,
prefer to contract it out, but that's my opinion.
but that's where we're at. We've got this is mandated by the EPA.
EPA mandated a bunch of stuff to us over the last time, even the prior administration,
Mm-hmm.
to get stuff done. They're still letting us slide on it, but not that that's
No, the only thing we haven't done with that is connect to the county, which I've been in
that's the big
contact-
thing.
It is, but I've been in contact with the EPA about it multiple times going through it. It's kind of out of our hands right now with some of the stuff, but we're working with the county and the EPA on that. That's the last thing. Everything else has been taken care of.
And I would just, I don't fundamentally disagree with this. I just would like to have more information. First
That's
seen
why I
it for the
said
first time
multiple
today.
readings going through it, because I figured there'd be some discussion on it and going through it, but
I think it could end up being more cost effective, but I just don't know that.
Okay, any other discussion at this time? Hey, Jake, will you read Resolution 2023-40, please?
Resolution number 2023-40, a resolution creating the position of GIS Coordinator and declaring an emergency.
Okay, that is the first reading. Because emergency language has been requested, does anyone wish to take any further action at this time or have further readings in the future? Okay, that'll be the first reading. Okay, we'll move on to Resolution 2023-41.
2023-41 is a resolution authorizing the Public Service Director to submit an application to the U.S. Department of Energy Efficiency Block Grant for grant funds for street lighting and lighting upgrades for the sewer department, declaring an emergency. And the deadline on this, Jeremy, I've checked my email, the deadline on this is December 15th for the applications.
Okay, Jacob, will you read 2023-41, please?
Resolution number 2023-41, a resolution authorizing the Public Service Director to submit an application to the U.S. Department of Energy's Energy Efficiency Block Grant for grant funds for street light and lighting upgrades for the sewer department and declaring an emergency.
Okay, that is the first reading. Again, emergency has been requested and has to be in by the 15th. Does anybody wish to take any further action?
I move that the rules requiring ordinances and resolutions be read on 3 separate readings be suspended, declaring an emergency.
We have a second. Okay, we'll take a roll call vote to consider this emergency legislation.
Butler?
Yes.
Jordan?
Yes.
Lipscomb?
Yes.
Oakridge?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
Nash?
Yes.
Vincenzo?
Yes.
All members are in favor.
Okay, this will be considered emergency legislation. Jake, will you read it for the final time?
Resolution number 2023-41, a resolution authorizing the Public Service Director to submit an application to the U.S. Department of Energy's Energy Efficiency Block Grant for grant funds for street light and lighting upgrades for the sewer department and declaring an emergency.
Okay, we need a motion to vote on this motion.
I'll make a motion.
Second? Okay, Jacob, you call a roll call vote to pass the legislation.
Butler?
Yes.
Jordan?
Yes.
Lipscomb?
Yes.
Oakridge?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Vincenzo?
Yes.
All members are in favor.
Okay, resolution 2023-41 has been approved. Okay, at this time, does anybody have anything they wish to bring up? Okay, the First of all, we give the turkey trot is Thanksgiving morning. If anybody wishes to help, Eric is requesting to help be there by 8 o'clock. So other than that, the next meeting is Monday, December 4th, 2023 at 7 p.m. They get a motion to adjourn. Second. Meeting's adjourned.